Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we will start from Bhagavad Gita, 14th chapter. As already we have discussed about Kshetra, Kshetrajna, and now Lord is going to explain about why this Kshetrajna, living entity, is trapped in Kshetra, the material world. And this material world, which is constituted of three modes of material nature, three gunas. So in this chapter, Lord is explaining about the details, how the living entity is limited and controlled within his field by the power of shackles of material nature. The three modes, like goodness, passion and ignorance. At the end of this chapter, Krishna informs us how to attain freedom from these modes of material nature. First four verses that describes about the liberation and conditioning of the living entity. So again, this chapter is started by Lord Krishna's instruction. The first verse itself is spoken by Lord Krishna. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Param Bhuya Prabhakshami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yat Jnatva Munayaha Sarve Param Siddhim Ito Gataha. So in the first verse itself, Lord says that again I shall declare to you the supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. See, in the previous chapters, like the 7th, 12th, Lord has already explained about the knowledge. Then why again he is saying that again I am going to give you knowledge, that after hearing that or knowing that, previously so many sages they have liberated. From the 7th chapter to the end of the 12th chapter, Sri Krishna in the detail reveals the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of a Godhead. Now the Lord himself is further enlightening Arjuna. If one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation, he will come an understanding of a devotional service. In the 13th chapter, it was clearly explained that by the humbly developing knowledge, one may possibly be freed from material entanglement. It has also been explained that it is due to association with the modes of nature that the living entity is entangled in this material world. Now, in this chapter, the Supreme Personality of a Godhead explains what those modes of nature are, how they act, how they bind, and how they give liberation. The knowledge explained in this chapter is proclaimed by the Supreme Lord to be superior to the knowledge given so far in other chapters. By understanding this knowledge, various great sages attained perfection and transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord now explains the same knowledge in a better way. This knowledge is far, far superior to all other processes of knowledge. Thus far explained, and knowing this many attained perfection. Thus it is expected that one who understands this 14th chapter will attain perfection. So here is the key of perfection. Lord explains in the first verse of this chapter itself that how one can attain perfection. Just by understanding this particular knowledge about how the modes of material they work and how living entity got entangled because of them. So in the next verse Lord says, idam jnanam upashritya mama sadharmya sarge pinopajayante pralayena vyathayanti cha. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. So generally, this material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Whatever sort of a knowledge, it may be the academic knowledge or it may be the spiritual knowledge, whatever you seek from different personalities. Knowledge which is not contaminated by the three modes of material nature is called transcendental knowledge. That need to be understood. As soon as one is situated in the transcendental knowledge, he is on the same platform as the Supreme Person. Like then he becomes pure. He attains the Brahma Bhuta's platform where he is free from the contaminations of this material world. Those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being freed from the material activities of the material form, this spiritual identity becomes formless without any variegatedness. However, just as there is a material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world there is also variegatedness. Those in the ignorance of this think that spiritual existence is opposed to the material variety. But actually, in the spiritual sky, one attains the spiritual form. There are spiritual activities and the spiritual situation is called devotional life. That atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated, and there one is equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. To obtain such a knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected either by creation or by the destruction of the material world. So here we can understand, generally the monastic people, what they think after liberation, that you are going to get merged in the Lord's existence. So there is no variety. Just everything becomes one. But in true sense, if you really understand the spiritual knowledge, then you will come to know that after liberation there is a variety. The spiritual world is full of varieties. As Prabhupada used to say in one of his purport in Srimad Bhagavatam, that variety is the spice of life. If there are no spice in the foodstuff, it's not palatable. So same way, if there is no variety, then the whole activity looks like unpalatable. Monastic liberation is unpalatable because attaining that, you are not engaged in any sort of activities. And living entity being a part and parcel of the Lord, which has its own spiritual body, which will not remain inactive. For example, right now in this material body, this living entity is so active. After getting rid of this material body, how he can be inactive? It will be difficult. So, once you attain the transcendental knowledge and understand that we have our eternal form, in that eternal form we have different relationship with the Lord, through which we can relate ourselves with the Lord, and enjoy that transcendental meal. And to understand that, we need to have an association of devotees. In the association of devotees only, you will get this knowledge. And this knowledge is considered as an uncontaminated knowledge by the modes of material nature, which gives you a transcendental platform where you can relate yourself with the Lord. Then further Lord says, Mama yonir mahad brahma tasmin garbhadadamyaham sambhava sarvabhutanam tato bhavati bharata. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is the Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharata. This is an explanation of the world. Everything that takes place is due to the combination of Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the body and the spiritual soul. This combination of a material nature and the living entity is made possible by the Supreme Lord Himself. The Mahat Tattva is the total cause of the total cosmic manifestation. And that total substance of the material cause, in which there are three modes of nature, is sometimes called Brahman. The Supreme Personality impregnates that total substance, and thus innumerable universes become possible. This total material substance is the Mahat Tattva, is described as a Brahman in Vedic literature. In Manduka Upanishad, it said, Tasmadetat Brahmanama Rupam Annam Cha Jayate. The Supreme Person impregnates that Brahman with the seeds of the living entities. The 24 elements, beginning from the earth, water, fire, and air, are all material energies, and they constitute what is called Mahad Brahma, or the great Brahman, the material nature. As explained in the 7th chapter, beyond this, there is another superior nature, the living entity. Into material nature, the superior nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of a Godhead, and thereafter all living entities are born of this material nature. The scorpion lays its eggs in piles of rice, and sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of a rice. But the rice is not the cause of the scorpion. Actually, the eggs are laid by the mother. Similarly, material nature is not the cause of the birth of the living entities. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of a Godhead, and they only seem to come out of products of material nature. Thus, every living entity, according to his past activities, has a different body created by the material nature, so that the living entity can enjoy or suffer according to the past deeds. The Lord is the cause of all the manifestation of living entities in the material world. So here one thing is clear. Generally, this Nastic Sankhya yogis, they consider that everything is created by the material nature. There is no hand of God in this cosmic creation. Everything is just created by this material nature. But to make it understand, Prabhupada has given a wonderful example. He says, like a scorpion, he lays eggs in the rice, which is not visible for us. And after some times we see that scorpions are born in the rice. So the foolish people who does not understand that rice is not the cause of birth for the scorpions, but the mother scorpion who laid the eggs, she is the cause. But they have not seen that. So same way, it seems that this material nature has given bodies to the living entities. And it seems that living entities are born out of this mother nature. But who has given these seeds? That is explained in this verse. Lord says that Sambhava Sarva Bhutanam Tasmin Garva Dadamyaham. He gives that seed. And in the next verse he clarifies Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya Murtaya Sambhavanti Yaha Tasam Brahma Mahadyonir Aham Bija Pradapita. He says, it should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature. And I am the seed-giving father. So it is clear. As Lord says that, Aham Sarvasya Prabho Matta Sarva Pravartate. And here is the evidence. He says that, Sarva Yoneshi Kaunteya Murtaya Sambhavanti Yaha Tasam Brahma Mahad Yonir Aham Bija Pradapitaha. He is the seed-giving father for all the species of life. Then, from text number 5, Lord is explaining about how these modes of material nature, they bind the living entity, which is pure by nature. So another 4 verses, like from 5 to 9, he is explaining about how this pure living entity gets bound in this material world. Sattvam rajastamayiti guna prakriti sambhavaha nibaddanti mahabaho dehe deham minam avyayam. Dehe dehinam avyayam. It's clearly mentioned that dehi means soul, which is avyaya, gets bound in deha because of the material nature. Material nature consists of 3 modes: goodness, passion and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with the nature, O mighty arm Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena bandhati jnana sangena chanagha. Now Lord is explaining that how the living entity is getting shackled by different modes of material nature. So in the mode of a goodness, he gets shackled by sukha sangena bandhati jnana sangena chanagha. The feeling of happiness and knowledge that binds the pure living entity in this material world by the mode of goodness. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from the sinful reaction. Those situated in that mode becomes conditioned by the sense of happiness and knowledge. The difficulty is that when a living entity is situated in the mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than the others. He starts thinking himself superior than the others. In this way, he becomes conditioned. The best example are the scientist and the philosopher. Each is very proud of his knowledge, and because they generally improve their living conditions, they feel a sort of a material happiness. This sense of advanced happiness in conditioned life make them bound by the mode of goodness of material nature. As such, they are attracted toward working in the mode of goodness, and as long as they have an attraction for working in that way, they have to take some type of a body in the mode of natures. Thus, there is no likelihood of liberation or of being transferred to the spiritual world. Repeatedly, one may become a philosopher, a scientist, or a poet, and repeatedly become entangled into the disadvantages of birth and death. But due to illusion of the material energy, one thinks that that sort of a life is pleasure. So, Sukha Sangena Bandhati Jnana Sangena Chanag. In the mode of goodness, what binds you is sense of happiness and knowledge. Then further, he explains about mode of passion, how one gets bound in the mode of passion. रजोरागात्मकं विद्धि तृष्णा संगम समुद्भवं तन्निबन्धाति कौन्तेय कर्म संगेन देहिनाम्. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desire and longings, Trishna and Raga. O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to the material fruitive actions. The whole material world is more or less in the mode of passion. Modern civilization is considered to be advanced in the standards of a mode of passion. Formerly, the advanced condition was considered to be the mode of goodness. If there is no liberation for those in the mode of goodness, what to speak of those who are entangled in the mode of passion? And present society, we see they are more and more advancing in the mode of passion. As explained here, Trishna Sangha Samudbhava. Because of longings, they are creating so many things which facilitates their sense gratification, nothing else. So, if someone gets bound in the mode of a goodness with the sense of happiness and knowledge, then what, and they are not able to get liberation, then what to speak of the people who are attached for sense gratification? Then further Lord says, Tabastatvananajam vidhi moham sarvadehinam pramada alasya nidrabhe stannibandhati bharata. In the mode of ignorance, what binds him? Pramada, madness. Then alasya, indolence or laziness. Nidra, sleep. These three things in the mode of ignorance that binds the living entity in this material world. Then in the last verse of this particular session, where Lord explains about how this pure living entity gets entangled in this material world, he says, Satvam sukhe sanjayati raja karmani bharata jnanam avritya tu tamaha pramade sanjayatyuta. This is the summum bonum, or a summary of these four verses. O son of Bharat, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions one to fruitive action, and ignorance covering one's knowledge binds one to madness. Then, next few verses, from 10 to 13, Lord is explaining about the recognizing a mode's supremacy. Supremacy. How to understand that? Which is higher than the other one. Rajastamascha sattvam bhavati bharata rajas sattvam tamaschaiva tamasatvam rajastata. Sometimes what happens? A goodness becomes prominent than mode of passion and ignorance. And sometimes passion becomes more prominent than goodness and ignorance. And sometimes ignorance becomes more prominent or supreme than other two modes. So it's going on. And there is always competition for the supremacy. The Lord says that Sarvadvareshu dehasmin prakasho pajayate Jnanam yada tada vidyat vivruddham sattvam iti utyata. Then how to understand that someone is in the mode of goodness? The Lord has explained the symptoms of the person who is in the mode of goodness. What happens? The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. All the nine holes of the body, when they get illuminated by the knowledge, then person is considered in the mode of goodness. लोभः प्रवृत्तिरारम्भः कर्मणाम् आशमः स्पृहा रजस्येतानि जायन्ते विवृद्धे भरतर्षभ. O chief of Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of a passion, the symptoms of a great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. When the mode of passion increases, then uncontrollable desire and hankering develops. And for that, person then does intense endeavor. Huh? Then ignorance is like aprakasho apravrittasya pramado moha evacha tamasyetani jayante vivruddhe kurunandana. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. When there is no illumination, knowledge is absent, one in the mode of ignorance does not work by a regulative principle. He wants to act whimsically for no purpose. Even though he has the capacity to work, he makes no endeavor. This is called illusion. Although consciousness is going on, life is inactive. These are the symptoms of one in the mode of ignorance. And this is what the actual conditions of animals. They have consciousness. They also work. But they really does not know for what they are working. And that's what bounds them in this material world. Now, it's explained about if someone dies in the particular mode, what happens to him? यदा सत्वे प्रवृद्धे तु प्रलयं याति देहभृत् तदोत्तम विदाम लोकान amalan pratipadyate. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planet of great sages. If someone dies in the mode of goodness, then he attains the higher planetary systems. Rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangeshu jayate तथा प्रयणस्तमसी मूढ़योनिषु जायते. When one dies in the mode of a passion, he takes birth among those engaged in the fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Karmana sukrutasyahu satvikam nirmalam phalam rajasastu phalam dukkham adnyanam tamasa phalam. When the result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of a goodness, but action done in the mode of a passion results in misery, and action performed in the mode of a ignorance results in foolishness. So here, if someone does some particular activity, then what will be the result? That has explained in this verse. सत्वात् संजायते ज्ञानं रजसो लोभ एव च प्रमादमोहो तमसो भवतो अज्ञानमेव च. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passions, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance, develops foolishness, madness, and illusion. And then in the 18th verse, Lord says, ऊर्ध्वं गच्छति सत्त्वस्था मध्ये तिष्ठन्ति राजसः जघन्यगुणवृत्तिस्था अधो गच्छन्ति तामसः. Those situated in the mode of a goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of a passion live on the earthly planets. And those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. Then, next verses, Lord explains about how to get rid of this modes of material nature. And that we will discuss tomorrow. Okay? Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita ki